Welcome once again to EJH British Cars, and today is the day we start buttoning up the bottom of the TR2 engine. So here it is where we left, and I still need to turn these tabs up. I don't like to do them up till I'm ready to button it up because I've had instances where I had to undo them, pull the piston back out for varying reasons. So if you don't do the tabs, then everything is fine and you don't have to worry about that, so it's cheap insurance. So the first thing I want to do is add this felt into the space in this main cap. And what we're supposed to do is to cut it into shorter sections, probably about an inch. And then I soak them in aviation gasket cement, which is this stuff right here. It's made by Permatex. I've heard people complaining this isn't as good as some of the modern stuff, blah, blah, blah. But for this, it's pretty good because it doesn't dry. It stays flexible, and it'll soak into this felt. So we'll get started on that. So I just cut it to length with a pair of heavy scissors. This is probably just an inch. And want something to hang onto it with. It's not your fingers because it's pretty messy. We dunk it in the stuff. Sort of wipe out the overage. And then I'm going to use this drift to push it into the hole. So just get started. There we go. And then you want to drive it home, and you actually want to compress it down in the hole. So just like that. No big mechanic secrets to it. Just keep dipping and filling. Like that. Don't forget there's two sides, so don't use more than half on one side. And as a young man, I tried doing this with one piece, and basically you can't do it. There's too much friction as it goes. So you're just better off to make, reasonable sized pieces. This might actually be easier with a tiny screwdriver, but we're there now. Now, we got that much left to do. So we'll cut off about that much, and that should leave us enough for the other side. If not, I've probably got some more of this stuff laying around. Anyway, I'm going to finish this up and then do the other side, and then we'll get back to you. So there they are in place. As you can see, I had this one down flush and it grew out a little bit, but that's okay. We'll just push it down a bit when we go to put the gasket on. And if it's still a bit too long, which seems unlikely, you can always trim it off with a knife, or I use a gasket scraper. This one's a little bit below the surface, but I got it pressed down pretty tight, and I expect by the time we get around to doing it, it'll be okay. And if the worst came to the worst, we could always put a dab of RTV right there. Next on the list is the oil pump. So there is a gasket for this. It's pretty obvious. It only fits one way, or fits properly one way, and that's pretty obvious. There's a bit of an edge right there. And then I need to go get the oil pump and strainer. So I will be right back. So I was curious. There was a time many years ago when replacement pumps, this rotor was just pushed onto this interference fit, and eventually they would spin on the shaft. But as you see, this is now pinned. So that's good. So this is a County brand. Got it from Rimmers. And it looks to be okay. I mean, some of the machining could be a little better. But I mean, that's in a non-critical area. These are the areas where it wears, and those are nice and flat. So, and it's inside the engine. You'll never see it. But anyhow, just thought I'd mention that. So definitely, if you are a worrywart like I am, check to make sure that the rotor is pinned onto this shaft. Because they sell these shafts separately along with the outer cage if you're just rebuilding the pump in your car, which I would have loved to have done, but the pump wasn't with the car when I bought it, and I didn't have any more laying around. So anyway, just a note. Now, install the pump, cut the gasket in place. I am not going to bother to put gasket sealer on this because if this seeps a little bit, what does it matter? So, goes on one obvious direction. Sure that goes home all the way. We're going to use a little Loctite. And then I really don't want this to fall off. So those Loctite lock washers and lock nuts. So those just go on. I'm sure there's a torque spec. It's probably like 15 pounds or something like that. But I'm just going to wing that. So I'm going to tighten that down and then we'll fit the screen. Okay, so this is the screen. You'll notice that it's offset. The taller side goes up. And it'll actually fit on the oil pump either way, but it won't fit in the oil pan. So we go that way. You get a couple of bolts. I'm going to drop a Loctite because, you know, don't want any of this stuff to fall apart. Lock washer. And a lock nut. Alright, so it's time to tighten these the little lock tabs up. I find that these pliers are really great for this. And I doubt you could buy these. These are Sears Roebuck Companion, not Craftsman, pliers that I bought 50 years ago. But the big difference between these and most channel locks is they've got this little notch right here. And you will be amazed at how handy that is. So anyway, but any kind of channel locks will probably work on this. You just grab it like that, pull it up, snug it down. Particularly if you're a racer. When I talked to Kaz Gassner, he said that they would drop the oil pan between races so they could check the connecting rods because they had a problem with them fracturing. There's a little hole about halfway up the stem of the connecting rod that throws oil, and they tended to fracture there. So as a safety measure, they would drop the pan between every race. Well, every race was enough time, obviously, but you know, that's most races. You know, you do heat, so you don't generally race back to back. And he would magnaflux them with the rods in the cars every time. But, you know, that's what it takes to be a winner. Anyway, so that's all done. I did also check the torque on these, and a couple of them, I set the torque. The range is 55 to 60. I set the wrench at 60, and there are 2 bolts that pulled up, you know, maybe 12.5 degrees or so. They were probably at 55, and that's just, it's been easily a month since I tightened these down, and they've been out here in the tent, hot cold cycles, and the bolts will have stretched in a little bit, I guess. Anyway, but seeing as they were right there, I figured, what the hell, I don't think it's a big deal to not have done that, but you know, while I'm there, might as well do it. Well, as you can see, I picked up the oil thrower for the front of the crankshaft. You can see it has a notch, so you can get it past the Woodruff keys if they're in place. And you also notice that this edge is slightly beveled, so it's slightly beveled to the side facing down. So that goes here on the snout, and you want it with the side. It doesn't want to fit on here. I'll have to clean that up. But it goes, it's going to wind up making this gear look like a little pulley, so in that direction. So let me clean this up a little more, and then we'll get back to you. So it was a little bit, I needed to clean this hole, and there was still just a tiny bit of edge there, so a few thousandths on either. Didn't take much. You can see it's still a pretty good fit, and that just goes on like that. Okay, so we added some aviation Catholic cement onto there, onto the back of the timing cover. Also there's a little bit of liquid RTV there just to seal that penetration. Should also note that that's actually swedged into this plate, so you don't have to take it off when you take the engine apart. But if you do accidentally, which is easy to do because I've done it, just put it back in and then swedge the edge over again with a little chisel or something. So you need to capture this because this is pushing against the side of this plate is what tensions that. Get that in. All right, let's try that again. And there it is. So now we just need to put all the bolts in there, 1/4 20. And don't forget that the lift point goes here, so there's a couple of longer ones go right there. So get started on that. So we're going to put just a little Loctite on here. We've been Loctiting everything else. These ones that go into the engine just thread right into the block. We just need to put these in like that. Go ahead and get these started. These ones on this side, you see they'll have a bolt to go through, and then we'll put a washer on the inside. And a copper washer here, and I'm going to use a lock nut because putting a lock washer on there will kind of defeat the purpose of the copper washer. That just goes on, and we snug it up. There we go. So the long slot goes over the oil pump, pretty obvious. And I just want to set that down as neatly as you can because the less. This is the spring out of the oil pressure relief valve that's in the head of the oil filter assembly. You can see the shiny spot, and that's where just over the years it's rubbed against the side of the casing, and they actually wore quite a bit of the spring away. So you really want to make sure you replace these springs. They're readily available. They're not very expensive. And you just take the center section out of the adjuster, and that's it. And there's a ball at the end, a ball bearing. You want to replace that too because they get just old and wore out, and they get grooves in them from sitting in the same spot. So this is the water pump. And I got a new water pump, but I need this pulley. This pulley has been on this probably 68 years. You are not going to get it apart with a 3-jaw puller. That when you go to the swap meets and you see all those water pumps that have chips right here, that's from people doing that. So this is a proper gear separator, which is just 2 half moons that come in together, and my press. So we're going to give that a whirl. And hopefully it'll come apart. Plus it'll stop this thing from falling through. And look at that. Well, that came off easy. I am amazed. So there's the water pump. I thought I might mention, this bolt is always trapped by the pulley. So you do not want to put the pulley on your new pump until you at least feed this pump in, this bolt in. Or you can put the pump onto the body before you put the pulley on. And the same thing here. You need to start these nuts on the studs while this is still loose because there's not enough room. If this is down tight, there's not enough room between the pulley and the stud to slide the nut in to get it started. And it's interesting. Yeah, just make sure you get the keyway lined up. It goes right over, no problems. It slides up, and you'll notice that the bolt on the end of that water pump is much larger than the old one, which is a good thing because on the old ones, if they're really stuck, it's really easy to bend that. So it doesn't look quite the same, but Lord knows it's a lot more secure, so that's okay. So probably the easiest thing to do that is with an impact, otherwise you're going to be trying to hang on to the pulley. So here's the oil filter head. So it gets 4 bolts, 3 different lengths, and this is a stud. And this reason this is where the oil pressure gauge line comes off. So there's a 5/16 line, I believe, of the banjo fitting on the end. The banjo fitting goes on there, copper washers on either side, and then an acorn nut on the top so that if any oil seeps by through the threads, it's captured. So it's not too fancy. I mean, obviously it goes this way backwards, and I got the pressure relief valve. I just got to screw it back in. I did all that the other day. It's just on an earlier piece of the video. So I'm going to head and bolt this down. Well, that'll about do it for the bottom end of the engine. We're still waiting on the head to come back from the machine shop, so I can't put that on yet. The next thing is going to be the transmission, but I'm going to have to send away for parts for that, so it may be a little while till I post again. If I find anything else interesting that I'm doing, I'll be sure to do it. So hope you enjoyed this episode of EJH British Cars, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment, and we will see you next time.